You step outside just after sunrise, and the yard is already wet. The wooden fence is darker than usual, soaked in uneven patches. The bird feeder sways slightly from last night's wind and rain. A northern cardinal is missing from its usual perch. The chickadees that were chattering yesterday morning are gone too. Even the robins that usually hop across the grass like clockwork are nowhere in sight. And you notice something strange. Your yard doesn't feel empty. It feels erased. Most people assume birds simply don't like rain, that they fly away, wait it out, and come back when the sky clears. But what's actually happening is far more precise, far more intentional, and far more intelligent than that simple explanation. Because when rain begins, your yard doesn't become empty by accident. It becomes invisible on purpose. And the birds outside your window are not gone. They are somewhere you've almost never thought to look. Welcome back to Feather in Mind. Subscribe before you leave. What you're about to learn will change the way you understand every quiet, rainy morning in your yard. Stay until the end, because the final behavior explains exactly where your birds go during storms, and it's the one most people never get told. Number 1. The instant disappearance response. The moment rain begins, many common backyard birds stop all exposed activity within seconds. This is not hesitation, it is a coordinated survival shift. Research from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology shows that small passerines like chickadees and sparrows respond to barometric pressure drops before heavy rainfall even arrives. Their nervous systems detect atmospheric change earlier than humans can perceive weather shifts. Mechanically, what's happening is simple and brutal. Feather insulation loses efficiency when wet. Flight becomes energetically expensive. Heat loss increases rapidly in small-bodied birds, so your yard is not abandoned slowly. It is cleared almost instantly. What this means for your yard is this: the silence you notice is not absence, it is a timed evacuation. Number 2. The invisible shelter network. Birds do not randomly vanish during rain. They move into a structured shelter map they already know by heart. Studies from the University of Washington's Avian Ecology Lab show that urban and suburban birds repeatedly use the same microshelters during weather events, dense hedges, evergreen clusters, roof overhangs, and even gaps beneath decks. These locations are not chosen in the moment. They are memorized long before the storm ever arrives. The mechanism is spatial memory combined with environmental mapping. Birds build cognitive safe zone networks of their territory, updating them through daily movement. So when rain begins, they are not searching, they are returning. For the birds outside your window, this means they already knew exactly where to go long before the first drop fell. Number 3. Feeder shutdown behavior. Your feeder doesn't become unpopular in the rain, it becomes temporarily irrelevant. A controlled field observation published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences shows that seed-feeding birds reduce feeder visits by up to 80% during moderate rainfall events. The reason is not fear of water alone. It is risk recalibration. Wet feathers increase drag, reduce takeoff speed, and make predator escape harder. Mechanically, birds prioritize survival efficiency over food intake in unstable conditions. This is why your feeder suddenly feels ignored even when food is available. What this means for your yard is this: your feeder is not abandoned, it is strategically deprioritized until survival conditions stabilize. Number 4. Sound suppression and weather silence. Rain does something unusual to bird communication. It physically disrupts it. Research from Cambridge University shows that rainfall reduces acoustic transmission distance in forest and suburban environments by scattering sound waves through water droplets and damp foliage. Bird calls that normally travel across your yard become muffled, shortened, or completely ineffective. So birds reduce vocalization, not because they are quiet animals, but because communication becomes unreliable. Instead, they switch to close-range movement and visual signaling within shelter clusters. For the birds outside your window, this means their entire communication system temporarily changes language from sound to proximity. Number 5. The micro-foraging shift. Even during rain, birds do not fully stop feeding, they simply change where they feed. Ohio State University behavioral studies show that ground-foraging birds like robins and starlings move to leaf litter zones, mulch edges, and under dense shrubs where rain impact is reduced. Insects also shift upward or inward during rainfall, concentrating food sources into protected microhabitats. Birds track this movement instinctively, so while you see nothing in your open yard, feeding is still happening just hidden under layers of cover and vegetation. What this means for your yard is this: feeding never stops, it only moves out of sight. Number 6. The post-rain return signal. Birds do not return randomly when rain stops. They respond to environmental reset cues. A behavioral study from Cornell shows that humidity stabilization, light angle change, and reduced wind turbulence act as triggers for reemergence. The first birds you see after rain are usually scouts' chickadees or sparrows testing safety before full activity resumes. Then, the yard repopulates in waves, not all at once. Mechanically, this is risk sequencing. No bird wants to be first into an unstable environment. For the birds outside your window, this means the return is a calculated re-entry, not a simple comeback. There is something deeply human about the way your yard feels after rain, as if it was briefly emptied of life and then carefully refilled. But what you are actually witnessing is not absence, it is coordination. Memory, intelligence working across a landscape you usually think of as still. Every bird you don't see during a storm is somewhere nearby, holding position in a shelter it remembers, surrounded by others doing the same silent calculation. They are not lost. They are together in ways you rarely get to witness. And when the rain finally fades, the return is not chaotic, it is familiar, almost ritual-like. Chickadees arrive first, testing the air. Then, robins step back into open grass. Then, cardinals reclaim their perches like nothing ever happened. There is something quietly comforting in that pattern, because it means your yard is never truly empty. Even in its quietest moments, it is occupied carefully, intelligently, and continuously. For many viewers, this is the part that lands the deepest. Not because it is dramatic, but because it reframes something simple. Silence is not separation. It is protection in progress. And the same birds you think have disappeared are, in reality, maintaining a version of your yard you were never meant to see. What looks like emptiness in your yard is actually a hidden system of survival, memory, and return running every time the weather changes. Tell me in the comments when rain starts, which bird do you notice disappearing first from your yard? I read everyone. If this made you think of someone, share it with them or for them. And I'll see you in the next one.